Our program for today, we have two speakers here. I'm going to introduce the first one. The second one has come a long way to be here today, and I'll let our first speaker introduce him. And I'm very pleased to introduce Fritz Coombs, who is sitting to my right. He is a lifelong resident of the Mahoning Valley, except for time spent pursuing an undergraduate degree at Denison University and his law degree at the Ohio State University. As a youth, he earned the Eagle Scout Award as part of Troop 9, located at First Presbyterian Church here in downtown Youngstown. After graduating from the Rayan School, Fritz got away from Boy Scouting for about 28 years until his son Evan joined the Cub Scouts. And after that, Fritz got totally involved again, and he served in a variety of adult leadership positions in the unit, district, and council level, including executive board member, program vice president, and council commissioner, which was then known as the Greater Western Reserve Council of the Boy Scouts of America. He continues to serve as an executive board member and assistant council commissioner for the Great Trail Council of the Boy Scouts of America. So I'm very pleased to give you Fritz Coombs.
Some of you may know that one of the other things I do besides scouting is I do a little bit of sleight of hand and magic. And so what I'm going to try to do here is do a little bit of magic. We're able to bring a special guest over the vast reaches of time and space. The guy who is responsible for getting the whole thing started. Ladies and gentlemen, Lord Baden-Powell.
What a wonderful video about the Boy Scouts of America. But there are only part of our program, you must realize. We have a World Brotherhood of Scouting, and I'm the one that started it all. Well, you see, I'm Lord Robert Stevenson Smythe Baden-Powell, Baron of Gilwell, and founder of the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouting movement. I was born in London, England on February 22nd, 1857. My father was the Reverend H.C. Baden-Powell, a professor at Oxford University. My mother was the daughter of the British Admiral W.T. Smythe. Unfortunately, my father died when I was only 3 years old. And this left my mother with 7 children under the age of 14. Well, as you might imagine, it created many hard times for a large family. But it was the mutual love of our mother and her children that always carried us through. When I was 13, I entered Charter House School in London on a scholarship. Now, this was a bloody exclusive and expensive school, and I felt a bit out of place. Well, I may not have been an especially outstanding scholar, but I was the liveliest lad they'd ever seen. If there was anything going on in the schoolyard, you could bloody well bet I was in the thick of it. And I gained some reputations while I was there. Mind you, now it's normal, so they weren't all good ones. But I gained a reputation for being musically inclined, and my theatrically abilities were greatly appreciated. Why, I could put on a performance that would keep the whole school in stitches whenever called upon. And later on in life, I was thankful for having developed the skill for sketching, as it enabled me to do sketches for the books I was going to write. While I was 19, I graduated from Charterhouse School, and I went to take the exams to get into Oxford University. Well, I was expected to go there. My father had been a teacher there, and both of my brothers had received scholarships to go. So I took the exams. Unfortunately, I failed them miserably. My mother was aghast when she heard the news, and I was quite depressed about it all. But a couple of days later, I saw in the newspaper that the British Army was going to be given exams to enter the Army, and those with the highest scores were going to be given a commission. Well, I thought they had nothing to lose at this point, so I decided to take the exam. Well, they were quite lengthy exams, and we were tested on many different things. One of the things was sketching. Wow, that was right up my alley. I could write or draw with either hand. It did quite well. So when the grades were finally posted, out of 700 men who had taken the exam, I found that I had finished 5th for the Army, 5th Infantry, and 2nd for the Cavalry. So I felt I had redeemed myself. So I immediately went into the British Army as a sub-lieutenant and was sent to India, where I was assigned to the regiment that formed the right of the cavalry line in the famous charge of the Light Brigade in the Crimean War. Well, the military way of life and I agreed like hand in glove. In no time at all, I've been raised to the rank of captain, and won the most coveted sports trophy in all of India, for pig sticking. Well, it's not a sport you do here in the United States. It's a sport of hunting wild boar on horseback with only a lance a little longer than my walking stick. Well, you may not realize it, but it's a bloody dangerous sport. For you see, the wild boar is often spoken of as the only critter who would drink the same water boar as a tiger. Well, it wasn't long before I was reassigned to South Africa, taking part in campaigns against the Zulus, and later the fierce tribes of Ashanti and Matabele warriors. I gained quite a reputation amongst the natives, and they gave me a nickname, Impisa, which in their language means the wolf that never sleeps, because of my courage, scouting abilities, and tracking abilities. Well, it wasn't until the year 1899 that I had my first chance to have my own command. Trouble was brewing in South Africa. The relations between British government and the Transvaal Republic were reaching a breaking point. So I was commissioned to raise 2 battalion of mountain riflemen and proceed to Mafeking, which was a strategic town in South Africa, and we felt that we could hold that town, it would be a great victory for us. So I arrived in Mafeking, and in no time at all, they had the town surrounded. We were surrounded with many natives and the Boer Army soldiers. There were about 12,000 of them surrounding the city, keeping us penned in. And I only had about 2,000 men at my command inside the city. Well, of course, they demanded we surrender, but we were not about to give in. Instead, we did everything we could to convince them that we had a much stronger force than what they had. Well, it was quite a trickery to do this. Some of the things that we did in the city, we didn't have but very little dynamite. But they established this building in the town, and they put signs all over it. Danger, keep away, explosives. And inside that building, I posted a few of my most trusted men. Now, I knew there were spies in the town, so I wanted to keep everybody away from there except for my few trusted men. And inside of there, I had them fill the empty ammo boxes with sand, all except for one, in which we put some dynamite. And then we took all the boxes out and buried them in the ground in the perimeter around the town. Once we had that done, we waited for the right moment. Here comes this poor native driving by in his bicycle outside the town, and he got by the box that we had buried there with the dynamite. We exploded it, knocked him off his bike. Didn't get hurt, but he got knocked off his bike. Made quite a scene. But anyhow, now the Boers had to be thinking that all of those boxes were filled with dynamite, and we could explode them whenever we wanted to. Well, that was one thing. Another thing we did is we organized all the lads in the town into what we called the Mafeking Cadet Corps. These lads provided many valuable services which enabled me to keep the fighting men on the firing line. They delivered messages and communications and light supplies to the men on the firing line. They did an outstanding job, and we were quite proud of them. And of course, they were proud of the job they were doing also. So with trickery like these, We held Mackin for 217 days until relief forces finally arrived. At that point, Great Britain went wild with joy, for we had a great victory. And now I was looked upon as a hero by my countrymen. And it was as a hero that I returned to London in 1901 to be showered with honors, but to discover to my amazement my popularity as a military man. I gained popularity with the lads. Well, they were using one of my textbooks that I'd written as a textbook in boys' school. The book was called Aids to Scouting for the Army Men. And they were using it as a textbook in boys' schools. Well, I envisioned a great challenge in this. Well, if a book written for Army men on scouting practices can appeal to lads and inspire them, how much more inspiring would it be for the lads to have a book of their own? So I set about to that task. I studied about the training of lads through all the ages, from the ancient British, the Roman boys, the youth of my own day, and the American Indians. Slowly and carefully I gathered this information together to create my scouting idea. It wasn't in the year 1907 that I finally finished my book, but I wanted to be sure that the scouting idea was going to work. So I gathered a group of 20 lads and took them to an isolated island in the British Channel called Brownsea Island. Here we ran an experimental scouting camp with the scheme that I had created. For 10 days, we did many different things there, taught the lads many different lessons, and at the end of those 10 days, the lads wanted to keep on going, of course, but they all thought they had gained much knowledge and learned to do many different things, and I was quite impressed with how the program had run. So in the following year, 1908, I published my self-illustrated handbook, Scouting for Boys. Well, the book had no sooner reached the sales stores, the troops and patrols began springing up all over England. In no time at all, this book had spread to numerous countries around the world. So much so that in the following year, we had a scout rally, as we called it, in Crystal Palace in England. There were some 11,000 scouts there. And when I arrived, I was confronted by a group of girls. Well, they were wearing campaign hats and they got staves and wearing khaki skirts. And they confronted me and I asked them what they were doing there. They said they were the Girl Scouts. I said, there's no such thing as Girl Scouts. Well, it's all we then come to realize once the women have set their mind to something, there's no stopping them. So with the help of my sister Agnes as their guide, I created the Girl Guides program, which soon thereafter was acquired by Julia Gordon Lowe. We had several meetings together. She brought the program here to the United States and renamed the program the Girl Scouts of America. Well, the scouting program survived and did quite well over the years. And by the year 1910, the movement had grown so large that I decided that scouting was going to be in my life's work. So I retired from the British Army as a Major General and started my second life, as I called it, my work of service to the world through scouting. So the movement spread throughout the world. We now have what we call World Brotherhood of Scouting. Over 300 countries around the world have a scouting program. And especially we want to talk about the United States of America now. So Bill Moss is going to take off his outfit and say, welcome to the World Brotherhood of Scouting.
Bill has made his life work portraying, as we affectionately call him, BP, Baden-Powell. But while he's getting changed, let's bring us up to speed a little bit. Boy Scouting came to the United States largely by accident. A publisher from Chicago, William D. Boyce, was in London, got hopelessly lost in a fog. He did some direction. And a young boy came up to him and gave him the direction of how to get where he was going. Boyce wanted to give him a tip. And at which point the young lad said, "I'm sorry, sir, I'm a scout. A scout does not accept a tip for doing a good turn." Well, that impressed Boyce no end. When he got back to the States, he wanted to organize scouting in the United States. So together with several other people who are prominent, and we've got some displays up there, we've got Ernest Thompson Seton, who had his own organization known as the Woodcraft Indians. Also Daniel Carter Baird, who had his own organization known as the Sons of Daniel Boone. We coalesced, merged these organizations to form the Boy Scouts of America in February of 1910. And their first executive director, Chief Scout Executive as we call him, was a lawyer, yeah, one of those guys, by the name of James E. West. So that's how scouting got to the United States. Bill and I are going to try and bring this up to speed and bring it down to the Mahoning Valley. How did scouting get to the Mahoning Valley, specifically Boy Scouting?
Can we bring the lights back up?
Yeah, we can. We don't want to keep you in the dark too long. Boy Scouting got to the Mahoning Valley not long after the National Council was formed in 1910. Matter of fact, about a year later, a group of prominent Youngstown businessmen wanted to form a Boy Scout council here in Youngstown. And by 1912, we did have the Youngstown Council formed, and at least 3 troops, one of them being Troop 9, my old troop, which hung around for a long time, which was sponsored by First Presbyterian Church. Troop 23, which was sponsored by Richard Brown Memorial Church, which is a Methodist church on the north side of Youngstown. And what was then known as Troop 4, which was sponsored by Rodef Sholem, the Jewish temple on the north side of Youngstown. And you can see a pattern here. Scouting was born on the north side of Youngstown. But back in that day, that's where the prominent people lived. And so the Youngstown Council was formed. We were off and running in 1913. We'll skip over a lot of there's a handout on the table if you'd like to follow a lot of the detail on this. Given the constraints of time, we're going to skip over some of that stuff. There were some initial camps which were held on farmers' farms, but the real thing that got things going was the creation of Camp Stambaugh out in Canfield. And Camp Stambaugh is celebrating its 100th birthday this year. Officially, the first summer camp that was held at Camp Stambaugh was in July of 1919. The Scouts are going to have a big camporine celebration out there in September. I think it's September 21st. We're looking forward to having a big birthday party for Camp Stambaugh. Eventually, the Youngstown Council spread. We had troops going on in Niles. We had some troops in Girard, and it became known as the Mahoning Valley Council in the late 20s. As scouting continued to build in this area. Curiously,
it wasn't just in Mahoning County, it was surrounding communities also.
Right. It was spreading into Trumbull County, it was spreading into Columbiana County. Curiously enough, in 1919, an effort was made, and the Scouts in Warren formed their own Scout Council in 1919. So they're celebrating a centennial this year as well as Camp Stambaugh. I don't know, jump in anytime, Bill, because you're the one who wrote this.
No, you're doing fine.
Okay, good. Haven't screwed it up yet. Scouting continued to be a very prosperous and very well supported organization here in the Mahoning Valley. Over the years, our Scout Council had a number of prominent citizens, and this is in the handout, at least 4 of the Wick family were presidents of the Scout Council over the years. Some of you may be familiar with the log cabin that I think it was James Wick built on Illinois Avenue. He was so into scouting, he made his home look like a scout cabin. And I was fortunate enough to have grown up just a few doors away from that when I was a young boy, also living on Illinois Avenue. Some of the other names that pop up in the leadership of the Youngstown Council, the people like Bigley, James Bigley, Robert Manchester, William G. Leiden, Charles Cushwa. So you can see the business community was heavily involved in supporting scouting and giving leadership to the Scout Council over the years. The economic decline of Mahoning Valley with the decline of the steel industry, scouting was unfortunately not getting the type of financial support it had enjoyed when steel was king. And these other communities also were suffering that. So strength in numbers, the 1993 merger brought together the 6 counties in northeastern Ohio to form the Greater Western Reserve Council, and that encompassed Mahoning County, Trumbull County, Ashtabula County, Geauga County, part of Portage County, and Lake County. So we had the entire northeastern corner of the state governed by one council. And that was the case for until 2017, just a few years ago, when we went through another reorganization of the councils. At that point, this is again a 3-way negotiation between the Greater Western Reserve Council, the Cleveland Council, and the Great Trail Council, which is headquartered in Akron. When the dust settled, the lower 2 counties in the Greater Western Reserve Council, Mahoning and Trumbull, became part of the Great Trail Council, headquartered in Akron, which is now comprised 6 counties in that region. The northern counties of the Greater Western Reserve Council, together with a portion of the Scout Council that was to the west of Cleveland, merged with Cleveland to create the Lake Erie Council. So we are now a part of the Great Trail Council, which has its headquarters in Akron, but we still have Camp Stambaugh.
In 1976, women were allowed to be leaders in all of our programs, including the Boy Scout movement, as we called it.
But Bill, by leaders, we're talking about the top unit leader, the Scout Master, the Cub Master. So we had den mothers back in the 50s and 40s, but finally women were allowed to be the top leaders of the Scout unit.
And so in 1988, women were allowed to be leaders in the Boy Scouts, which was a big hurdle. And it actually chased a lot of our leaders away. They didn't think that was appropriate. This was a Boy Scouting program. Well, we have to change with the times, 1982, we increased the size of our Cub Scouting program by allowing what we call Tiger Cubs in. Now we're down into where the first graders were. And shortly thereafter, a few years ago, we created an even younger program called the Lions, which now includes the kindergarten grades. So now our Cub Scouting program goes from kindergarten clear up through the age of 10. And at age 10, they are now eligible to go into the Boy Scouting program, which goes up through age 18. In there, mixed amongst that, we have what's called the venturing program or the exploring program. It's a male or female, ages 14 through 20. And they can do a variety of different things in those different programs.
Now, what we're talking about, venturing is actually, and it's been around for 20 years as a co-ed program. People are saying, geez, the Boy Scouts are going co-ed. We've been co-ed for 2 decades in the venturing program. I actually had the pleasure back in 2005 to lead a co-ed venturing crew on 50 miles of backpacking in New Mexico. I did it with fear and trepidation because I'd never dealt with a co-ed unit. And I came out of that saying, wow, why didn't we do this before? Those kids were their own, they became like brothers and sisters, and they still stay in touch with each other to this day. One of the most positive experiences I have had in scouting.
So here we have girls involved in all of our programs now. A lot of people ask why we do this. Well, actually, unofficially, we've had a family program with girls involved in the past. Unofficially, girls have participated in a lot of our events. So National Council decided, why don't we make them an official part of the program? So that's what we've done now. So here we are, current day, this is what we have in the Cub Scout program. We can have boys or girls, going from kindergarten up through 5th grade. They don't totally intermix. In a Cub Scout pack, we can have an all-boy Cub pack, or we can have an all-girl Cub Scout pack. Or we can have a mixture, where we have dens within the same pack, boy dens and girl dens. So there's a certain amount of mixing, but not totally. But the girls, starting this year, can be involved in the Boy Scouting program. They don't get mixed like this though. The girls will have their own troops. So we're going to have Scouts PSA girl troops and Scouts PSA boy troops. They will not be mixed. There will be different programs where they will be associated with one another, but they are separate troops.
Just to give you an idea of where we stand now as a council and locally, in the Great Trail Council, our total youth membership is 7,921 youth. That's not counting the adult leaders, that's just the kids. In Mahoning County, we have 816 youth involved in scouting at one level or another. Trumbull County, another 740. What about the ladies, you say? We've just launched having girls in the traditional Boy Scout program, which we now call Scouting BSA, so that it's gender neutral. But here in Mahoning County, we do have girls in scouting. We have 19 girls in 2 troops. One is at First Presbyterian Church, the other one is in Canfield, and there is a 3rd troop forming in Canfield at this point. Trumbull County, we have 15 female scouts in 2 different troops, one in Braceville, one in Cortland. So yeah, we're getting off the ground with that. There are girls that do want to do this, as Bill pointed out. We have separate troops for boys and girls. It's not truly a co-ed program, although in reality, these girl troops will often be linked with a boy troop, and they will do a program together. They will go on the same camp out together, even though they're structured as separate troops. So we're having a lot of success with that. We talk about Cub Scouts. As far as female Cub Scouts in Mahoning County, we have 56. In Trumbull County, we have 23. So that program, those numbers make us, number-wise, the 2nd largest number of people in the council to have a female in Cubs and Scouts. The only council that's ahead of us is the one that is headquartered in Columbus, and of course they're a much larger council and a much larger population. So scouting among female youth is catching on in our area.
So here in Mahoning County, we have what's called the Whispering Pines District, which comprises all of Mahoning County. We presently have a total of 37 units, and the one at the First Presbyterian Church being the only one within the city limits, unfortunately. We used to have a bunch, but that's the only one we have at the moment. We currently have a girl troop which is trying to form in Poland. We do have a girl troop at the First Presbyterian Church, and we have a girl troop out in Canfield. So we're looking to form our 3rd girl troop right now. All right, I think it's time to open it up to questions.
Yeah, we'll open up to questions. I'm sure, in the short period of time, Bill and I have not been able to cover everything you want to know. So our motto is, as Scouts, is be prepared. Hopefully we're prepared to answer your questions.
Yes?
The logo, the Boy Scouts logo of America, I can understand the eagle and the shield, but why the fleur-de-lis in the background when he was he taken after the English?
Yes, Baden-Powell, starting the program, used the fleur-de-lis as one of the logos, and I don't know if you noticed it or not, but wearing a fleur-de-lis on my lapel. It was used for different things, okay? And if any of you came up here to see my display up here from the Boy Scouting Museum, which I run out on Stanwalk, there's a swastika up here. Wow, when I got that into the museum, I said, there's something wrong here. There's no swastika in scouting. Well, as I researched it, I found out, prior to the 1930s, the swastika had been used by many organizations as a thanks badge, or as a thanks symbol. So that's what Baden-Powell started doing with it, using it as a thanks award. Of course, when the Second World War came along and the swastika got used for other things, he discontinued it, and it got carried on as other type of awards. So that's the origin of the fleur-de-lis. Yes?
I must say that I'm witnessing the formation of the girl troop, female troop in Poland, and there's a great deal of enthusiasm, so I'm very pleased about that. I have no direct involvement with forming it, but I'm pleased to be aware of it. And also, just to let you know the weight, additionally, beyond our environs, regarding the Scout program, if you want to be nominated to one of the service academies, any of them, one of the heavyweight items is if you have become an Eagle Scout. And it carries a heavy percentage, I think 65% in character. So it is something that, these young people are building all of the characteristics that you saw, but also it gives them a bridge to go on and continue. And they'll probably give back to the scouting program through their efforts and their finances. So thank you for leading the way.
Speaking of leading the way, who knows what the name of the moonlander was, the first moonlander? What? Do you know why it's called the Eagle? It's because those 3 astronauts were all Eagle Scouts, and that's the name they wanted. Yes. You probably heard a lot about abuse in the scouting program. Well, that happens in any organization. But I'm quite proud to say that the Boy Scouts of America has created the best youth protection program going. In fact, there are many other organizations that have adopted the standards and the rules and the principles that we have established in our scouting program to prohibit as much as possible as we can any abuse happening to the kids in our program.
No. Most of the claims you're hearing about that are coming to light in the news today are claims that arose 3 and 4 decades ago. In the last 25 years, as Bill indicated, we have a youth protection program in scouting that is the gold standard. Very few claims have arisen since that has been implemented. Every registered adult, every scout leader, every Boy Scout committee member, anybody involved in the Boy Scouts over the age of 18 has to go through youth protection training and pass a test to show that they understand and they will implement the various policies we have to make sure that our youth are safe.
Any other questions from the audience?
I have a question.
Yes.
Wasn't it had something to do with when Christ was alive and the lady that had his imprint on a piece of cloth and where she was buried in France? Doesn't that have something to do with that?
You're out of my realm of knowledge there.
I wasn't sure.
That very well could be, but it's not part of our scouting legacy.
My son is a scout leader in Court.
Okay.
He's one of the boys. He's 12 now.
Oregon is a kind of a bastard area in our scouting dividing line.
Don't tell them that.
There are units from both councils, and even French Creek Council up involved in that area over in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, largely, French Creek Council, which is our neighboring council in Pennsylvania, actually governs the scout units in Brookfield. It's curious geography that we have. But I wanted to jump in with one thing. We've seen a lot of the stuff. We always associate scouts with camping and hiking. But as one of my friends said, do not confuse our methods and our mission. The mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes, instilling in them the values of the Scout oath and law.
And that's something that won't change in the Scouting program. The handouts are there for you in case if you'd like to. There's a lot more information in there. Thank you for attending today.
Thank you. By the way, in case you hadn't guessed, that's really Bill Moss. That's not BP.
Thank you very much, Bill, Fritz, for this wonderful Far Eastern program. I want to take a minute to acknowledge we have a Cub Scout den from Pack 40 in Girard, or here in the back. 2 den mothers, Scouts, and one of the Girl Scouts that are part of the program now. So we're very happy that you came for this special program, and hope you enjoyed it as all of us did.